in the wet tank, or possibly the air dryer, or the discharge line off the compressor, the air that's in your system would stay in your system, it wouldn't be depleted. Now, as the compressor runs, it's going to take the path of least resistance, but if you had 120 psi in these tanks, you would still have 120 psi in those tanks, even if this all failed. Then what happens is the air comes out of here and goes through what's known as a two-way check valve. And what a two-way check valve is, it takes air from two supplies and puts it out through one delivery port. So this valve inside it actually has a little shuttle inside it. And whichever air system has the most amount of pressure slides the shuttle and fills the system. So if this tank had, if the primary had 120 psi and this tank had 100 psi, well, it would slide the shuttle so that the 120 psi would fill the system. Now, when it comes from here, it runs there and goes into the dash supply valves. So what the dash supply valves do is they run the spring brake systems throughout the whole system. And when you push this in, it allows air to transfer into the spring brake chamber and release the brakes. So the reason that they run this back through a two-way check valve, if one of these systems failed, it would still allow 100 psi or more into that dash valve, so it wouldn't automatically apply the brakes. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Hopefully. Okay, so now what they've done is they've taken that, put it through the dash supply valves, so that if one system fails, the other system is still going to maintain its pressure, hopefully to give you enough time to have a safe stop, as well as your brakes won't automatically apply. Because once we get down to 60, all of a sudden the spring brakes start to apply. So this just helps a whole lot. Then what they do is, once it's into here, then it takes it out of here again and runs into the foot valve. So that the foot valve, everything that comes in the foot valve also is the same way. Now the green on this side runs to the rear brakes. And the red runs to the front brakes. But if you notice, both the green and the red hook up by the tractor protection valve, again on a two-way check valve. So that if one of these systems fails, no matter what happens, we still got trigger brakes.
Goes to the one you're talking about.
Yeah, so even if it fails, the tractor maybe only have air on the primary or secondary side, but regardless, the trailer's still gonna work, which is a bonus. If you had a Super Bee full of chips and had a failure in one side or the other, you then will want your trailer brakes to work. Otherwise, if they were only on one system, for example, a primary, and the primary system failed, and you had no trailer brakes, you'd have to do all your stopping on the steering axle brakes. Well, if that was the case, you would put your brake on here and not stop at Prince George. Right? That makes sense. So we're very fortunate it does that. If the secondary system fails, of course the back brakes will work, but the steering axle brakes won't work. So no matter what happens, we still have that. Now your cars have always had that.